สวัสดีครับขอต้อนรับท่านผู้ชมทุกท่านเข้าสู่รายการเสียงไทยเพื่อเสรีภาพของคนไทยนะครับจะเห็นว่าตลอดปี 2558 ที่ผ่านมานั้นประเทศไทยเป็นประเทศที่ถูกจับตามองจากนานาชาติมากนะครับเพราะว่าเป็นประเทศที่มีการละเมิดสิทธิมนุษยชนกันมากที่สุดนะครับปรากฏการณ์เหล่านี้ในฐานะที่เป็นคนอเมริกันนะครับเขาจะรู้สึกกันอย่างไรนะครับเราจะมาฟังความคิดเห็นของคนอเมริกันคนหนึ่งนะครับที่สนใจเมืองไทยนะครับจากการที่ไปเป็นผู้ที่ดูแลทางด้านการศึกษาให้ในแคมป์ผู้ลี้ภัยอยู่ในต่างประเทศนะครับจากนั้นเธอก็สนใจเรื่องของเพลงแล้วก็ทำให้เธอหันมาสนใจเรื่องของภาษาไทยการเมืองไทยรวมทั้งสังคมไทยมากขึ้นด้วยเหมือนกันนะครับเราจะพูดคุยเรื่องนี้กับคุณแอนนอร์แมนนะครับซึ่งเป็นคนอเมริกันที่อาศัยอยู่ในรัฐเพนซิลเวเนียแล้วก็จะพูดคุยผ่านทางสกายนะครับสวัสดีครับคุณแอนครับ
สวัสดีค่ะคุณจ
งสวัสดีครับขอบพระคุณมากคุณแอนฮะที่ให้เกียรติพูดคุยแล้วก็ร่วมรายการในวันนี้ Can I interview you with Thai or English?
Yeah, you can interview me with English, but I'll say ฉันก็รู้สึกเป็นเกียรติที่ได้มาคุยกับคุณจงด้วย
ได้สวัสดีครับรู้สึกเป็นเกียรติเช่นเดียวกันนะครับขอบคุณมากที่ให้โอกาสพูดคุยนะครับ The question is what do you think about Thailand right now after we have many problem about abuse human rights in Thailand?
I'll preface it by saying, I love Thailand. I love the people. This has been a horrible year, and I hate the dictatorship, and things have just been going from bad to worse. I don't like to follow all this bad news, but I feel like I have to because there's not very many people who both know what's going on and care and are able to talk about it. I can say whatever I want on Facebook. They can't get me. They can't threaten me because I don't have my me crop crewที่เมืองไทยไม่มีธุรกิจ I don't have any business there.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the few people besides people who are already exiled who can speak, so I do it and I share the news, and it's just been one bad thing after another. It's the slavery. They found the Rohingya who were buried in the mass graves. Then they investigate the mass graves, and then the guy who's in charge of the investigation flees in fear of his life because he's going to be killed. That's terrible. And as far as the lese majeste, I keep, every time one of these lese majeste things happens, I try to publicize it, and it's just been like I have to keep telling my Facebook friends. I'm afraid I'm going to lose them all because it sounds the same thing every day. It's like the story just got even worse. Okay, this isn't the same story I told you yesterday. Okay, they say now there's going to be a all-out blitz on lese majeste. I'm sorry to report. Then the next day I have to report. I'm sorry, but one of the people who was brought in for lese majeste was found hung in this jail. And he committed suicide. And even the news reports use the scare quotes, because who knows if he committed suicide. So and then it's just like a week later I say, oh, I'm sorry to report that the other guy two out of three died in jail of a blood infection. And then some students go off to protest they go off to protest corruption at that park with the statues. They all get arrested and released, and then they pick out a couple of them for sharing Facebook posts, one about the king's dog. And it is just like a story. It's just like 1996 in Orwell. It's so terrible. And it's just infuriating. And I'm sure my friends are tired of listening to it because they realize, we have a responsibility at least to watch these people as they try to fight to be heard.
Yeah.
So
it's very important in Thailand. We have a king, and the king had been beloved with the Thai people. So this is the main securities nation securities in a whole Thai country, and so that's why the Thai government and police or even the official government try to protect the king very much. What do you think about the king and the securities of the nation in Thailand?
I think that that every single American believes and I wrote this one down. ทุกคนถูกสร้างขึ้นมาอย่างเท่าเทียมกัน that doesn't fit with having a king. Everyone should have the same rights. There shouldn't be somebody with special rights where they're above the law. That's what that means when everybody should be equal. You don't have one person who's completely above the law and can do anything they want. Now, King Bhumibol, I actually respect him. I don't know if that's because I can't because I lived in Thailand for 2 years and therefore it got ingrained in me too, and I'm just believing the propaganda. Or if he's really a good guy, but I can't help but like him. That's how I feel about King Bhumibol. However, the crown prince is just horrible. He just divorced his wife and all of her family are in jail. That's something that, Kim Jong-un would do. That's what you call a despot. You divorce your wife and throw her whole family in jail. That's terrible. And apparently some of these people are also disappeared. We don't even know which jail they're in. And supposedly this is, for security. No one has explained to me why this keeps the country secure. I mean, it sort of made sense when King Bhumibol was in charge because he seemed, to, be a uniting force, bringing people from all parts of the country together. However, he's obviously very, very sick. He's not responsive. When you see him, being wheeled around, he doesn't even respond when you put something in front of his face. He can't be useful anymore. And shame on them for even wheeling him around and trying to use him as a prop. The poor guy. And so if he doesn't, he can't have a real function at this point. So unless he's like arm, which I think some people think he is, that he's as long as there is a king, that there'll be good luck for Thailand. Other than that, I don't see how this improves the situation. And on the contrary, if you have billions of dollars at stake, whoever gets to be the next monarch, then you have people fighting for the billions of dollars and for all the power. And so I heard a theory, and of course it's always theories. You can't know what's really going on because of the clampdown on free speech, but maybe all these people who are going to jail over lese majeste, who are very close to, they're royal people, or they're close to royalty, maybe there's a infighting within the royalty or the Privy Council about who's going to be the next monarch, or who's going to control the next monarch, rather. So anyway, it leads to fighting. I don't see it leads to security. It seems like it leads to insecurity.
The Thai monarch or the Thai king never get involved in the politics in Thailand. What do you believe in this?
He has to be involved because Thailand has so many coups. So if
do you think every coup in Thailand had been involved with the Thai king?
What I'm saying is that even if he didn't approve the coup, once the coup happens, he has to pass on the power. He has to put his rubber stamp, as we say, and say, okay, this is okay. And if he says this isn't okay, then you've got a problem, right? So once you've got a coup that's a fact, he still has to say, okay, you're the new government. That's one job. So if that's the only job he has, because Thailand has so many coups, he's still involved in politics. Now, one suspects that some of these coups wouldn't happen unless they kind of expected him to approve of them. You know, I can't say which ones he approved of beforehand and which ones he didn't. And once again, I do have a lot of respect for him as a person because, you know, I read the book about his life and I'm not sure I could have done better. He had a really difficult lot of things to balance, and he had communist insurgencies, you know, in the surrounding countries. So he prioritized stability over the transition to democracy. That was my takeaway from it, but I think he had good intentions, and I'm not sure that I could have done better. That's the way I feel about that. However, it's a mystery to me why he didn't, you know, move the succession towards somebody more acceptable than the prince. So, you know, most of his sins in my mind are sins of omission, which means he didn't do something that he should have done. He should have clarified who was going to be the acceptable heir to the throne. He should have gotten rid of this lese majeste law while he was still well. You know, there's just way too many people rotting in jail. 100 people a year whose lives get ruined over this thing. You know, 2 people recently died over it. And even the people who are going to jail, they're, you know, and they're accused of corruption or something. They're accused of a whole slew of things, plus lese majeste. Now, lese majeste is like the evasion of the due process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the way to get around having a real trial that people will actually be able to hear about, that'll be transparent. You know, if you've got evidence that they were corrupt, then present the evidence that they were corrupt, and let everybody hear the proceedings of the trial. But instead, you accuse them of you know, insulting the king's dog, and then suddenly we can't hear one more detail about this. And everyone's afraid to ask questions anymore. And so it's an evasion of due process.
Yeah, I tried to talk about in the past that U.S. Tried to support the king, the Thai king, in the past because they want, I mean, U.S. want to against communists in Southeast Asia. So that's why Thai king had more power right now because had been supporting by U.S. government in the past. What do you think?
Yeah, that's 100% true. And you know, the USAID, the United States Aid Agency, you know, gave aid to hand out pictures of the king to people in rural areas. You know, so, and they made movies about him. And they provided assistance to make movies, and all that happened. No imminent threat of communism, so why would they support a king?
So right now, what do you think about U.S. government and Thailand, especially relation between Thai monarchy and U.S. government?
Well, after the coup, you know, I'm on Facebook with all these friends, and you know how it goes where, you know, you just say something that seems like self-evident, just completely obvious, and everyone jumps down your back and says, you know, you're a horrible, extreme person, right? So, you know, right after the coup, for instance, I was on a website talking about Thai music. And of course, right after the coup, instead we were talking about the coup. And somebody said, well, actually, the coup is democracy because after the coup, we'll just have an election. And I said, coups are not democracy, and the only people who think coups are democracy live in Thailand. And then the person who came back at me and said, "You insulted the king," and I had mentioned the king, you know. Yeah. So this is just a way to shut down all conversation about politics.
This conversation between you and Thai, or you and American friend?
Me and a Thai friend.
Okay, go ahead.
And it wasn't even a friend. It was just, anonymous person who happened to be another music fan.
Yeah. What do you think about Thai people had been protest U.S. ambassador after he criticized the lese majeste?
Well, it's very strange that they're allowed to protest, since nobody's supposedly allowed to protest. So it does illustrate, that the law is very selectively applied to some groups and not others in Thailand. So it's kind of infuriating on that level, because we saw what happened when the young people went to protest corruption at the park with the statues.
Yeah.
What happened? They all got dragged off to jail and let go. But these people, they're allowed to accumulate in groups of larger than 4, for one thing. And so, I mean, it's nice that they do have that freedom of speech, and everyone should have that freedom of speech. But to see the law so selectively applied is infuriating. And, it's expected that there's going to be groups of people who feel this way. We have all kinds of groups in the United States, and we have groups that act like that, because to me it's like religion. So we have groups that would campaign on issues like that because they're Christian, and it wouldn't be pro-king, but it would be, pro-Jesus or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And how dare you question us, because we love Jesus, and we need to have our Christian symbols on front of the church. I mean, not the church, in front of the government, bonds. That's what the fights are sometimes about. So we get groups of people who are very similar to that, out shouting that they need their manger scene on the front of the court, which is fine, because the other group can do the same thing.
Yeah. This is the way that ambassador should do in...
Yes.
What?
Yes, I was very, very happy that he spoke out, and he was speaking out just like the previous ambassador had spoken out. And I guess I felt like I was like this radical person with extreme views when I'm talking with other Thai people in Thailand. And sometimes I have to check myself and like, do I really have extreme outlying views? And I would check and see what the U.S. Embassy was saying. The U.S. Embassy was saying exactly what I thought. And I would often share the statements from the U.S. Embassy all throughout that period right after the coup, because I just agreed with them 100%. I've never seen a statement come out of the embassy that I didn't agree with 100%. So, I realized that, they are saying what Americans want their representatives to say. And another example I have is that I have a friend at work that we're like on total opposite ends of the political spectrum in the United States. He's a Republican and I'm a Democrat, and we're so far apart in politics in the United States that after the last 2 elections, when Barack Obama won, he was so angry with me that we literally didn't speak for like a month.
Yeah.
And we actually, but we both have ties to Thailand, and of the same sort. We just have a lot of Facebook friends in Thailand, etc. And so then there was a big flood, and nobody was reporting on it. And the 2 of us were sharing all the information we could find on the floods and seeing, if they were coming closer to Bangkok, etc. So we started talking again because of that. Then the coup happened, and we started sharing information about the coup. We are like in 100% agreement about the craziness that's gone on since the coup. And that's because despite the fact that we're as far apart as we can be on the American political spectrum, we're both Americans, and we both, automatically want to see freedom of speech, and we automatically want to see elections and stuff like that.
The U.S. ambassador criticized the lese majeste. It's something like interfere in the domestic, politics in Thailand. What do you think?
To make a statement of an opinion is not to interfere in someone's politics. They don't have to listen to you. That to give your opinion. And we want our ambassador to give an opinion. And in fact, I listened to the speech. I had to find the speech and listen to it, and it was as if he was talking to a whole bunch of other farang in the room. They were, using a language with a lot of jokes and sarcasm and maybe talking over the heads of some people, especially at the beginning. And at the beginning, it was interesting that the guy who introduced him made a joke that maybe his former assignment in charge, being a representative for North Korea policy, was going to come in handy with his new assignment in Thailand. Now, if anyone's going to get mad, they should have gotten mad that you're joking that Thailand is like North Korea. That's where you should get mad. And I don't think they were listening to anything he said. I think they were just playing a game like kids play. It's called gotcha. And, you said the bad word. And if you say the bad word, I'm going to go tattle to mommy and say that you said poopy head. And that's what the political discussion has come down to. Nobody hears anything that anyone says. They just go, you said it. You said you didn't like the king or something, and then that's supposed to shut down. And I went to the protest that you went to and at the UN, and I actually got to talk to a yellow shirt. We actually had a productive conversation, but it was really weird because he came over to me and introduced himself as a reporter. I don't know if he was a reporter or not, because he didn't really act like a real reporter, but we had a back and forth that was very interesting. But several times, I said, what is the point of this lese majeste law? And he said, what is the point? And then, that was supposed to be it. That was supposed to be I was supposed to be scared at that moment. And it was like, then he sort of kind of had to think to himself, oh, right, I'm in the United States. I have to actually give a reason. And I said, yes, what's the point? And then he'd have to come up with a reason. But his first reaction at several points when I mentioned lese majeste was to go, oh, right, okay. I have to actually answer the question. So that's what I think about this. And if they had been listening to what he actually said, at the beginning, he said that he was talking about Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers. And he said that somebody asked Thomas Jefferson, if you had to choose between a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, which would you choose? And Thomas Jefferson said, I think I would choose newspapers without a government. And the ambassador said, and I would agree with him.
How they can protect Thailand to become a North Korea, so that its U.S. government have to be a big concern about this?
I really don't know the answer, but one thing is the U.S. government is not going to do anything. They're just saying stuff, okay? So whether saying stuff is going to matter, I don't know, because the current government is just not hearing what the world thinks. But I think it is useful for the world to just react in horror at what's going on. Because, the fact that Thailand, people are joking that Thailand is like North Korea, should actually matter to Thai people. I don't know if it will, but there's a lot of people who, when I try to publicize this, they'll say, well, that's their special culture, I don't even want to get into it because that's their special culture. And I'm like, no, I know half the people, the majority of the people, this is not their culture. They voted for something else. And they're extremely unhappy, and I actually know the unhappy people. That is not their culture.
Thailand, going to face to succession in the future.
I don't know enough to answer that question. It's like kind of unthinkable. Nobody knows what will happen. Nobody knows because we talk about it. I can't imagine what will happen. But what I can't imagine is that the prince will, take the throne, and then nobody will be able to make fun of him because it's irresistible. Just like John Oliver said, there's tapes of him and his poodle and his naked wife by the pool, and word will get out about all kinds of stuff, and people will make jokes. And you can't stop people from making jokes, and you can't stop people from not liking the guy. And if he's, if he divorced his third wife and threw all of her family in jail, you're going to have some people who say, that doesn't seem very nice, at the very least. And I'll bet you there's things that he did that were worse, but we don't know about it because we can't investigate it.
Right. So
it'll be unenforceable. I think the lese majeste law may become unenforceable. I hope it does become unenforceable. And once it becomes unenforceable, I hope that the Thai people talk about whether they want a king, and if they want a king, whether they want it to be, just symbolic, and whether they want to take it as seriously as they have up to this point. A king abdicated right after, what was it, in the 1930s, right after the beginning of democracy. A king abdicated, and then Thailand didn't have a king, and Thailand was fine. Who knows, if that had continued, they would just forgotten about it. So it's not like this culture is built into people. In fact, because there's no historical memory, the culture is kind of the moment.
The Prince of Thailand become to the king, the next king of Thailand. What do you have any idea about Thailand in the future?
Like I said, this would be my ideal scenario. This is what I would hope would happen. I hope that he takes the throne, and then it turns out that they just can't enforce that lese majeste law because it's too hard at that point. They get rid of lese majeste, at which point he can stay in power. It's not really power if there's if he's just a figurehead. If he wants, then Thailand can discuss what they want and discuss it freely. It should be irrelevant. He's a problem. So if he's a problem, then I would minimize his role.
U.S. government, they have a new government. I mean, after Barack Obama. So it depends on who gonna be the next president, Democrat or Republican. Do anything going to be different between Thai and U.S.?
I don't think that it'll be different with Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, so she would be totally up on, our foreign policy would stay exactly the same, I would think. So we're all hoping, not all, but a lot of my friends are hoping for Hillary Clinton. And who knows if his name just flew out of my head. Donald Trump.
Yep.
I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, that's almost like what happens when the prince takes the throne. What happens when Donald Trump becomes president? I don't know. I can't even imagine it, but soon find it.
Okay, so many Thai people who move to US and become a US citizen, and but they're still supporting dictators in Thailand. What do you think about this group of people?
Well, I think that a lot of them who, I'll say half at least, changed their mind when they come to the United States. And I did have a friend that I had a Thai wife, and I got to meet her, and I was so anxious when I met her, and she said, "Oh, you should come and chat with us, and you should chat with us about politics." And I was like, "Oh, so are you a red shirt or a yellow shirt?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, we can talk about politics because, once people get away from Thailand, they hear what's really going on. You don't really get real news in Thailand. So yeah, I'm all about talking about politics." So that's the kind of attitude I've met up with. And another attitude I've met up with is, "Oh, I love the king." And then they watch me post all this stuff anti-lese majeste, and guess what? They don't unfriend me. So they just ignore it. And there's this attitude that with the yellow shirts, that if you say something against the king, it's going to wound them to their soul, and their head's going to explode, and something terrible is going to happen. You know what? Nothing terrible happens. And they are reasonable, and they say, "Well, I kind of like this person just as a friend," and they stay friends.
In Thailand, we have a very extremely about abuse human rights. What do you think U.S. government going to do in Thailand? Do the U.S. government to ban or to do some bad thing for Thailand?
I guess they already have some, reduced engagement or something.
Yeah.
And there will be a lot of us who will keep reminding the U.S. government that we, do want a pressure applied of some sort. On the other hand, I mean, I cannot believe that the U.S. government is, allies with Saudi Arabia. So, exactly how that they calculate who to apply pressure to and who not to, I don't know. But Saudi Arabia is obviously 100,000 times worse than Thailand, and they're allies with them. I don't understand it. So, like I said, I'm an average American. I don't know how to explain these things. I think it's important that, while they have all this propaganda in Thailand, that they be reminded that the outside world thinks it's craziness. And they think it's evil. Respect the fighters, and there's I think one of the things that attracted me to Thailand was that the fight for democracy is happening right now. You can see it happening right now, and our founding fathers, are heroes to me, and it all happened in 1776. But in Thailand, it's happening right now, and that's very interesting to me. So, the people who are fighting for democracy are the founding fathers of, Thai democracy, and I really respect that.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe
Thank you.
Like it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kun Ann, for helping Thailand to be a democracy, and very interesting your idea, and we hope we can bring back democracy for to Thai people. All right, thank you so much. I very appreciate that. Thank you. สวัสดีครับ ขอบคุณครับ